Now that the eldest and other spiteful beings wouldn't be bothering us, the queen returned to her subjects and celebrated the victory and the end of the kingdom's miseries with great fanfare. Everything gradually returned to normal, including our exciting lives. Not always peaceful, but also not troubled by invasions from another world. And little by little, our heroes and the common folk began to forget the sorrows of the past. Sometimes, on clear spring nights, the queen saw dreams. In them, the nymph Nyrissa, fierce and wounded, battled the Jabberwock, died, and returned to life, again and again and again. Under the wise leadership of the queen, the stolen lands became a true country. There was still much to be done, of course, and some of it will need to be finished by our heroine's descendants. But there are no longer cut purses on every corner, and the peasants aren't afraid some new self-proclaimed chief will show up and strong-arm himself into power. Just half a year after the war with the First World, Galt moved its troops to the southern border of the kingdom. Their attack was rebuffed. The enemy state's infantry could do little against soldiers who were skilled with their swords and knew the military arts better than the alphabet. Since then, Galt hasn't risked crossing any borders again, fearing cruel retaliation for further insolence.
Yeah!
The queen's subjects praise her generosity, while citizens of neighboring lands groan from crippling taxes. Citizens of the stolen lands have it pretty good. Truth be told, the treasury isn't always capable of paying the royal bills, and the throne room's adornments are clearly decaying, but sometimes you have to buy the people's love, literally. The feud between Brevois North and South, which had been smoldering for ages, never sparked the fires of civil war. Through great effort, our queen managed to bring both parties to the negotiating table. While Rostland didn't gain its independence, it did receive wide autonomy rights. Our relationships with both House Sertova and the Sword Lords are respectful, but they've become lukewarm. Because of us, neither side got everything they wanted. Casil Aldori settled in our capital, though he left politics to teach dueling. The Tiger Lords never fully recovered from the damage Armont did to the tribe. Lacking a strong leader and torn by infighting, the barbarians sank into a short but fierce internal war. Their lands were quickly appropriated by neighboring tribes, and the Tiger Lords were scattered across Numeria and the River Kingdoms. Little more than pitiful remnants of a once great tribe.
Bitch.
Pitax almost returned to its former state, a joyful city filled with beers of dubious quality and deals of questionable legality. The old trade houses lost the crown, but they retrieved the property Iravetti had taken from them. Soon, Pitax became almost like a second capital in the kingdom, a thriving city through which rivers of money from across the region ran. Unfortunately, we get much less of this money than we would like. Governor Liachenza turned out to be helpless against widespread embezzlement. Trolls and kobolds, two of the most savage native peoples living in the Gnarl Marches, were completely exterminated in the region. The forest paths became much safer, and the peasants' cattle have stopped going missing.
Well, at least that, right? Hello there, Benskor. How are you doing? You come right at the end of the game. We finally did it.
After enduring so many storms and troubles, Varnhold eventually turned into a real city. Daring settlers decided to conquer the vast, wild expanses of Dunsword, and despite all odds, they succeeded. The modest colony that almost vanished at the hands of an ancient lich turned everything around to become a thriving city with lively river trading. Agay, the Spriggan leader, learned a valuable lesson after surviving his meeting with the Queen and even regaining his tribe's home. Don't try to occupy seemingly empty settlements anymore. Instead, the Spriggans settled across Dunsworth's wild borderlands and proclaimed it as their domain. Keeping the peace in a situation like that seems like the stuff of dreams, as evidenced by the occasional lost patrols and stolen cattle. Peace reigns in the caves beneath the old sycamore. The kobolds and mites continue to explore the depths and learn simple crafts from each other. Rumor has it, the first mite kobold wedding even happened not long ago. That said, settlers still aren't rushing to build new homes in the area. Some kind souls even put up warning signs along the roads. Beware, traveler. Steer clear of the old sycamore. Another inscription soon appeared over the sign, though. No keep going treasure ahead honest.
Nice.
Oleg's trading post continues to thrive, attracting even more travelers. Much to its owner's displeasure, a small town is springing up around it. Despite Oleg's grumbling, he and his wife are well regarded by everyone, and Svetlana was even elected town chief. Jod remained loyal to the queen to the end of his days, healing the sick and generously sharing his austere wisdom with anyone who wished to hear it, and some who didn't. Having fulfilled his duty to the ruler, Erastil's priest peacefully departed this world, surrounded by friends and disciples. Breinhardt became a loyal ally and trade partner of the kingdom, and Darwin himself had been seen as a frequent guest in the capital. The elegant monarch of the neighboring kingdom has broken many hearts at court. After his visits, many young guards and servants have been seen staring through windows, sighing wistfully about something. The Fae took a fancy to the kingdom, feeling totally at home here. They often play various pranks, but they never do any serious harm. Falcos and Teresia managed to restore the magic forest. Once freed of the anger of the Scythe Tree, people returned to the abandoned village, and it became a haven of friendship between the Fae and ordinary people, just like old times. The lizard folk of the Longtail tribe returned to live on the shores of Candlemere, but they couldn't return to their ancient way of life. Living alongside people, the lizard folk adopted their behaviors, habits, and even religion. More and more of the Longtail tribe pray not to the spirits of their ancestors, but to Erastil or Gorum. They even began to forget their original language. I hope someone writes down their songs and legends before they all sink into oblivion. The goblins who put so much effort into preserving the Queen's lands obviously felt that gave them the right to do whatever they wanted in the kingdom. Travelers are careful to move in groups when they can, and any peasants who spot at least one particularly toothy stranger immediately raise the alarm. For if you see one goblin, there is likely a whole gang.
Knock knock!
The Sweet Teeth departed on a journey, hoping to see as many wonders as possible of this world and others. They keep sending us news from every corner of the map. Their bright painted wagon, drawn by a bull mastodon, crisscrosses Golarion, somehow appearing in the center of one incredible story after another. Evindra was glad to see the Lantern King's plans turn to dust. She spent some time helping restore the kingdom after the calamity, then returned home to the First World. They say the rebellious spirit of her cousin Nyrissa awoke within her as well. Evindra is said to recount our story to the Fae, encouraging them to question the power and might of the eldest. After the victory, the storyteller abandoned his affairs and began spending a lot of time alone in contemplation. He eventually bid farewell to the Queen and left her lands. But I suspect the inhabitants of Golarion haven't heard the last of this mysterious traveler, for his own story is hardly finished. Amiri remained a pariah to her native tribe, but she stayed close friends with Nylak, who ruled the Six Bears wisely and taught them to survive in the unfamiliar plains and cities. the restless barbarian would often travel for long stretches of time, but sooner or later she would always return to her old friends, bragging about new scars and recounting new feats, many of which Nylak immortalized in song. Valerie stayed to serve the queen, and to this day, she continues to be a muse to many people, not just bards and admirers, but to warriors as well. Honest and resilient, Valerie is not just famous for her feats in battle, but also for her patience and kindness, which she says the queen helped her discover within herself. Harren became famous, respected by dwarves throughout our kingdom as well as our neighbors, even as far as the Five Kings Mountains. He's often been asked to help out or teach others, and he's never denied anyone, despite his grumbling. Some people even listen to his preaching. Lucky for us, there's a lot less howling about the end of the world now, and more wise words of moderation and humility. Not all of his disciples turned to Grotus, but everyone took away something useful from his teachings. Jaethal spent some time at the Queen's court, but she then left to do whatever it was her new goddess required. She must have become a great inquisitor for Pharasma, as no one would know the ways of the undead and Urgathoa's cultists, as well as a former undead cultist would. She was also seen in the company of Salim Godafar. It's unlikely the two became friends, being so different from one another, but it's a known fact that they worked together. Octavia didn't stay still for very long. Soon, she and Reg went to Numeria and started a huge slave rebellion there. They didn't manage to destroy the Technically, but to this day, slaves speak their names with admiration, and slavers with terror. Over the course of their journey, the two grew as close as ever, leaving their quarrels and resentments behind. After returning from Numeria, Octavia settled in her mother's house and became the Queen's advisor and loyal companion. Rigangar left for Numeria with Octavia to start a slave rebellion. Over the journey, he really matured and learned to understand others, as well as how to control his anger. After he returned, he took a position in the Queen's court. Being both formidable and charming, he inspired fear in the hearts of some and lust in others. There are even some rumors that he almost talked Octavia into marrying him, and possibly even continuing the Della Fiorni line. Once the war was over, Tristan kept his promise to Sarenrae. In the middle of celebrating the Queen's victory, the priest suddenly disappeared in a flash of light, vanishing forever. I hope Sarenrae didn't take the Movonic Diva's memory, so her servant might still remember us and the stolen lands. Or if she did, I hope he was at least able to forget everything about the lands in which he endured so much suffering. After the war ended, Ekin hung his bow on the wall and traded the path of the ranger in for the craft of the carpenter. It may not be the most heroic ending to a tragic story like his, but as Torag is my witness, Ekin's happy with it, as is Alina, who became his wife and is bearing his child. Any baby born into this family will be pretty lucky, since the Queen herself still visits her old friend and will likely become the child's patron. Jubilost returned to the life of a traveling explorer, frequently visiting his favorite kingdom. He said so himself. His famous work studying the First World all opened with a dedication to his longtime companion, the Queen. Sometimes, during Jubilost's performances, all kinds of chaos would break loose. Viewers turned into unicorns, or would be teleported to the top of a cliff. Later, Jubilost would be seen arguing fiercely with a pretty gnome named Ner. The arguments looked very sweet, and intimate. As for Knock Knock, apologies, I mean Hero Knock Knock, he continued his questionably heroic efforts in the Stolen Lands. Despite whatever mess he fell into, no matter the danger he leapt into, he always seemed to scrape through just a little better off than before. Like true heroes, he simply never gave up, struggling on and meeting the challenge of each new day with a spirit that no mishap or misfortune could ever quell. The slightly inaccurate statue of him and the Queen still stands in the square to this day, the two figures side by side. I've always felt that, while the heights may be a bit off, let's say it accurately reflects the size and spirit of the goblin hero who'd been nurtured by the teachings of his queen. Despite all the woes that befell the country, our queen remains a strong leader. Many noble houses from neighboring lands wouldn't hesitate to be related to her, and they regularly send a variety of marriage proposals. As for myself, the author of this book, Lindsay, who never chose a pretty nickname, I'm still here, inside my creation within the Capitol Library. I live just like I always dreamed, surrounded by people and books, and not a day goes by without someone turning my pages. My story inspired many others to take up the quill. My readers have written many fierce books, articles, and pamphlets, flinging truth in the faces of tyrants. What more could I dream of? I hope, oh honored reader, that this story offered you some daring ideas, or at least some entertainment. In any case, it's time to set the final period.
It's been how long? About 7 days and 2 hours. $170 hours. Around that time mark. Ah! Thank you for the host, Marie. Thank you very much. This is the end though. You've caught me right at the end of the game. After returning to the main title screen. 170 hours of this game. Well, what is there to say? My timing! Oh, wow. Well, what an adventure. What an adventure it was. This might have been the longest game I've ever played. If you count the main story. Let's hang on a bit. Pop, pop, pop. Going to reduce the volume a little bit there. Yeah, this was about the longest game, I think, that I had to play for the main story, to get from start to finish. There might have been maybe a few games where I spent more time in, but not for the main story, not as long as that. But it was a very exciting journey. It was from start to finish, just so many memorable things that happened there. So many memorable companions along the way. So many challenges. And so many times I cursed at this game for its bugs or all those other issues and story beats that throw at me. But in the end, I still love it. I still like it. I give this game a huge recommendation to anyone who's interested in playing a good old style RPG game. Even though this game has some issues, it has still quite some bugs remaining in it. It doesn't really tell you every little detail about its mechanics, so you will have to do a lot of reading on the internet about certain mechanics, how certain spells work, how combat works, how this and that, the kingdom management part, how this one works. A lot of things are left in the dark, and you have to figure it out somehow. How to get past those challenges. But it's worth it. It's really worth it. It's really an outstanding adventure, I would say. And I will remember it for a long time to come. And I'm looking forward to the sequel to Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous, coming out, dated around for June, July 2021. Hopefully they can hopefully they can keep their schedule and their release date, and hopefully that adventure will be as memorable as this one. Very nice game. Highly recommended. Really good story, and the graphic looks also very nice. That's true. The whole art style of this game is really nice, very well made, and yeah, the story with all its ups and downs, very interesting and very, very well written, I would say. So that's it, I guess. That's it for this game. We did it. I finished it in 2020. It didn't take me until 2021 to finish it. 170 hours of playtime though. Woo! So I would say for the future, I guess, there are already other games on the horizon on my pile of shame that I want to go through. Yeah, she didn't see the end. She was here yesterday. But yeah, she didn't see the final end now. But I'm going to upload all of this on YouTube as well. I've already downloaded all the VODs from Twitch. Of course, except this one right now. I'm going to download this right after. And I'm uploading the whole playthrough, all 170 hours, to YouTube, which is going to take me... I don't have a link for that. Wait, I can get you a link there. So this is the link to my channel, and there you can find the Pathfinder Kingmaker playthrough. There are already 140 parts of this playthrough, so around 70 hours uploaded to YouTube. I try to limit the videos to 30 minutes, so I think it's easier to digest. 30-minute videos in a playlist than those big multi-hour videos. Let's see. But yeah, that will take me probably a couple of weeks until I have everything uploaded there. But I will do it. I will do it. Unless I lose, for some reason, access to all my VODs or anything. Suddenly or I don't have internet or something, but I will upload the whole playthrough to YouTube. Yes! So, thank you all for stepping by, thank you all for watching, and yeah, if you missed anything, YouTube might be your best chance of catching up and seeing the whole thing from start to finish there. Very, very good game there. Very good indeed. Well then, I think the next game I would like to tackle, I think maybe Pillars of Eternity 2. So I would like to give that game a shot. I have played it for a couple of hours, but never finished it. And I would like to play it with the newly added turn-based mode. Let's see how it goes. Oh, no problem, Marie. Thank you for hosting, though. Thank you for stopping by. Well, maybe there will be another stream later on. I don't know, with New Year and stuff. Have a happy New Year to everyone here. In a couple of hours. I hope 2021 will treat you better than 2020 has, and yeah, about that. So I'm going to finish this here. I'm going to leave this one here. Maybe there's another stream later today. Maybe tomorrow. Maybe with Pillars of Eternity 2 or some other game. Probably. Most likely another RPG. I'm just in the mood for it right now. I'm in the mindset for more RPGs right now. Alright then. Then I'm going to exit here. And take care, everyone. And is there anybody else currently online where I could send you to? Maybe you have some recommendations for me. Well, I could send you over to Co Carnage, who's currently playing Pillars of Eternity 2. Which I would like to play as well. So you can maybe take a look what this game looks like, if you're interested. What's coming up here next. So, take care, everyone. Have a wonderful day. Have a happy new year. And I will see you all later. Alright. And take care. Bye-bye.